this year's seminar. So the theme that the one word I want you to start thinking about throughout this time is vision. So it's not enough to just set goals, you have to visualize them. You have to, okay? Those people who hit their goal last year, I'm sure it was on their mind and they saw it, I guarantee you. Whether they know they did or not, they had to have seen it all year long and prepped for it and thought about it and done something about it all year long. And that's the biggest thing, so vision. Without it, you're just hoping to succeed. And if you keep doing the same things over and over, you're gonna get the same results. All right? So I'd like to start with talking about a book/movie. Have any of you watched or read The Secret? Good. So you guys are going to be able to relate with me a lot. Chime in when you want to or agree when you like to. The biggest thing about this movie or book is that it's all about vision. And there's a law of gravity. There's a lot of laws of our universe, but they say that one of them is law of attraction, that this is a real thing. So I want you guys to just open your mind and start realizing that everything comes to you because you ask it to be brought to you. That includes good or bad things. That includes small or large things. So an example would be waking up in the morning, you stub your toe, and you feel like by the time you get to work and it's lunchtime, everything's gone wrong. You know, you go from stubbing your toe, to spilling your coffee, to being late for work, to getting pulled over on the way there, to getting reamed at by your boss. But the truth about that is you've brought all that on. Maybe you didn't bring on stubbing your toe, but everything after that, you went to a negative place when that happened. You allowed that thing to affect you and bring you to a negative state. And we've got to try to train our minds to not do that. So as we set goals today, this is what I want you to start thinking about, is this theme of vision and how anything you see is going to happen. If you want to start complaining about something, everything is going to be negative after that. All right? Your thoughts can be measured. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's how this law of attraction can be proven a theory, I guess. I don't know if you can use proven in theory, but you can measure your thoughts that you have. So there's something interesting that they've done. A scientist/coach put pads of some sort to get the brain frequencies from Olympians. And what they were testing is to see if your thoughts can really make something happen without you even doing anything, without you knowing how to do anything, which is an important thought too. You don't have to know how to do what your goal is. You just have to go and do it. You just have to think about it all the time. So they wanted to prove this. They put these electrodes on the Olympians' heads, and they sat in a chair, and he said, I just want you to close your eyes and envision you running as fast as you can and going as hard as you can, and envision yourself winning that race. So they did this for minutes and minutes and minutes. Those people had the same contractions in the muscles they would have had if they were actually running on the track. So your thoughts will dictate what you do. So that's important to know, that not only will it dictate what you do, but what's going to be brought to you because you're going to go after it. So it's a little proof there. It's something for you guys to think about, how powerful your mind can be, good or bad. All right, I think that's highly important. And if you focus on the bad things, things are just going to keep getting worse, and that snowball of negative is going to happen. If you think of the positive things, the snowball of positive will happen. So keep that going. The best thing to do when envisioning and thinking about your goals is to flip your mind from, I don't want to get in a car accident. I don't want to fail this test. I don't want to be in debt anymore. You have to reverse it and start thinking, I'm going to get to work safely. I'm going to save $1,000. I'm going to pass my test with flying colors. That's the thought you have to have. You can't keep being in the negative. So that's something to think about as well when you're starting to train yourself and think more and envision. It has to be the positive side of what you want the outcome to be. And once you've thought about it, you have to actually physically embrace that. Take time once a day to think about what you want. If you want a brand new car, you've got to sit in that car, and you got to sit in a chair and just think about you being in that new car. You got to, what does it look like? What does it feel like to have the car? What things can you do that you wouldn't do if you were in that new car? You know, you've got like electric windows now. This is awesome. You don't have to wheel it out. You know, whatever it is, you've got a remote car starter. Think about it, feel it. Those are just some simple things. Let's see, what else I want to say about that? Does anybody have anything to add that did see the movie? Read the book? Do you believe it? Does anybody not believe that theory? No? Okay.
How long is the movie?
Yeah, about an hour and 20. The other point I want to make about this is that you can control your destiny. You can control what happens to you in life. I think, especially here, I can relate with how many people, I'll try to bring up a small conversation about changing nutrition, and people will say, I just can't do it. I have a long weekend, it's not going to happen. And you can. You have total control over that, I've tried to lose 10 pounds now, it's been a year, and all I've done is gain 10 pounds. You're the reason that happened. You have total 100% control over that. No matter how hard I try, I can't get that promotion in work. That is your doing. Maybe because instead of thinking, I'm going to get promoted, I'm going to be in this position, you're thinking, I really don't want this job anymore. I really don't want to be sitting next to these people. And you think about all the reverse negative things instead of the positive things. And another way to train yourself is I talked about the emotions and the feeling, what it feels like to want that new car, what it's, all your emotions attached to it and your senses attached to it. Use those to help think. So instead of being overwhelmed by having to take 5 minutes to think every day, think about how you're feeling when you wake up in the morning. Do you feel good? Do you feel upset? Do you feel angry? Then change that. Listen to something funny. Play a joke on the internet, or look at a picture on your phone that is going to make you laugh. And that's going to completely change your entire day, your entire outlook. And imagine compounding that onto days after months, until the year passes. You'll be amazed to see what might change. So don't be overwhelmed by having to do that. Constantly living in the past. It's another thing you guys want to take note of, is where you are right now is temporary. So if you feel overwhelmed by all the things you do want to change and all the 5 minutes you're going to spend every day thinking about that positive change, just realize that where you are is temporary. So if you have debt that you want to pay off, that's temporary. It doesn't have to be you today. That was you yesterday. If you start changing your mind and saying, I'm going to pay that off, or I'm going to make an extra $20,000 to pay that off this year, you can get there a little bit further. And what you can do is make a grateful list every day. Simple exercise you can do is every day you wake up, or what's a good time for you? Maybe it's the middle of the day when you eat lunch. Maybe it's at night before you go to bed. Maybe it's right after your workout, in the car right before you come in here. Start being grateful every day. And that's how you can change your negative to positive, because it is a natural instinct, I think, with all the stuff that we have going on in life, to just automatically think, oh my God, how am I going to make it through the day? My car just broke down. And then your entire day just keeps going down that way. But if you start thinking about the grateful things, like, well, at least there's other forms of transportation. I'm going to make it. I'm going to survive. At least there's ways to contact people to let them know I'm going to be late. At least there's still 23 hours left in this day for me to complete something. Be grateful every day. So be grateful for what you have and start making a journal. I think that's the most important thing you could do. Doesn't matter how you do it or when you do it, but just try to get in that habit. And then the theme of today is vision. Visualize. Visualize all these things. It's not enough to just write them in your journal. It's not enough to just think about them for 5 minutes. You've got to visualize them. You got to see them. So close your eyes and imagine that it's already been done. Imagine that it's already been done. And maybe there's something that will remind you every day. In this movie, there's a teacher, I believe, who wanted to make an extra $100,000 that year for whatever reason. And so he envisioned living the $100,000 lifestyle. That didn't mean that's necessarily what he wanted to do with the $100,000, but he had to envision that it already happened, and this is what would happen if I had $100,000. He also taped a $1 bill and wrote $100,000 on it, right above him on the ceiling of his bed. Every single day he got to see that. Every day when he woke up, rolled over before he got out of bed, he saw $100,000. The year goes on and he must have been an author. The year goes on, he ends up writing a book, but he had already written the book, but he had never thought, well, if I do more than just give it to the people who want to hear it, maybe I'll make X amount of dollars. So he starts to sell it, finds somebody who wants to write about him, goes online, starts to sell it like crazy. In 1 year, he made $92,000. So he said, okay, I didn't make my $100,000, but I guarantee you that if I didn't put that thing on the ceiling, and I didn't think about it every single day, and I didn't make a conscious effort all the time, I wouldn't have gotten to $92,000. So it's a powerful thing, and it's not just powerful, maybe it'll work if I think about it enough. It is going to happen. The universe is yours. You guys line it up. Whatever you want, you can pull in. But be careful for what you want. You got to think about it in a positive light, because if you just keep thinking on that negative stream, you're going to pull in a lot of negative things without even knowing. All right? So I thought that was a good way to introduce how we can use vision to get past just setting these goals, right? Last year we set goals. Like I said, I think the people who hit their goals probably saw it. You had to work with it every single day in order to hit that goal, whether you knew it or not, because I didn't teach that last year. But this year you have to go beyond that. You've got to see this goal. And if you can't see what you end up setting, it's not the right one. It's not the right one for you if you can't envision it, if you can't fathom it happening. It's okay for you to think it's like a Disney World dream. That's all right if you can see it happening. All right? A little activity. Something that helps me that I've been doing since the beginning of this year and wished I'd done last year is called W-Lags. But today it's going to be wins, losses, ahas, and wishes, because we're going to go look in the past of 2015. Normally it's wins, losses, ahas, and goals. So every Sunday or Monday morning, I've gotten into a habit of taking out a piece of paper. It's the same notebook for that and my big five. On the back side of one is my wins, my losses, my ahas, and my goals. Wins. What are all your accomplishments from the week before? Little, big, you know, just brainstorm. That's all you're doing. It could be something as simple as I went to get my nails done, because that matters to you. That makes you feel good, you know? I worked out 5 times. I met with my boss. Whatever it is. Your losses. Could be anything. Things that you didn't complete. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you had a bad meeting with somebody. Bad interaction. You didn't follow through on a plan that you were supposed to go visit someone in your family. Then there are the aha moments. And aha moments are really, really cool. This is a really fun thing for me to think about. It's like, what happened to you that made you say, now I get it? It can be like one of the simplest things that ever happens to you, but you're like, aha, I got it. So it's something that you learned a lesson from that week. That's a way to think about it. And then your wishes, which we're going to do today. If you decide to follow this exercise weekly throughout the year, monthly, whenever you can commit yourself to doing it, would be your goals. What do you want to accomplish this week? And you just brainstorm. Now this isn't something for you to live by throughout the week. It's just something for you to get your thoughts down on paper, which is huge, because that's one step closer to seeing it. All right? So today we're going to do wishes instead. What you wish you would have accomplished in 2015. So we're just going to give you a couple minutes. You can take out a piece of the notebook that we gave you, and you're going to do your wins right now. So you can do it for 2015. Some of your wins that you had in 2015. Successful moments, highlights, small, big, somewhere in between. You're going to write down your losses, the things that happened to you that were negative. Maybe they didn't happen to you, maybe it was just things you didn't follow through on, goals that you set. People or relationships that you've lost over the year. Opportunities you didn't take. Lessons you learned. Simple things that happened throughout the year that taught you something. Changed the way you thought for the rest of the year. Changed the way you acted for the rest of the year. Changed the way you treated people. Maybe it changed your relationships that you have. This aha moment for 2015 was learning that building relationships is one of the most important things you can do in life. And once I recognized that, I started to treat every single person I met a lot different, and felt like every minute that you spend with anybody, no matter who it is, no matter how insignificant you might have thought they were before, no matter how small or little your relationship used to be, I ended up wanting to grow that relationship. From an aunt that I've never seen before, to new people that come into here, to people that have left, that might have contacted me by an email, just checking in. You might think that that doesn't matter, but no matter what, eventually it's going to come back around to you. And that was my biggest aha moment. And then your wishes. What do you wish that you did in 2015? What do you wish that you completed? It could be something you did not have in mind in 2015 that you're like, if I would know what I know now, then I would have. Or I really wish I would have set goals in 2015. Maybe some of you didn't even get that far. To me part, we're going to start sharing. If it's too personal, don't give it from that category. But I think everybody has something they can probably share that's general somewhere, somehow. So we'll just do a couple from each. Anybody have any good wins they'd like to share with people? Just shout them out if so.
Got certified in nutrition.
There you go. Anybody else?
Travel.
Where'd you go?
California.
Anybody else?
Quit smoking.
There you go.
Go girl.
Is this your anniversary month?
February 8th.
Ooh, it's coming up. What are you going to do to reward yourself?
Go for a really long run. I don't know.
Think good. Think big. That's huge. Anybody else?
Got a job.
There you go.
Hosted a party.
Yes. Everybody needs a party. Good for you. That's a big task.
Got engaged.
There you go. Congratulations. Big ones. Wow, a lot of good things happen. What? Is that how you do it, San? How do you do surgery?
SS.
That's what I got. Woo! Back of my head. All right. Losses. Oh boy. We have to admit these in order to get better, though, right? What's up?
Ed with money.
Anybody else?
Lost mom.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Put on weight. Put on weight.
One more.
Did not organize my mess.
Okay. That's really killing you right now, isn't it?
My husband had a 3,000 square foot house that he moved into a
Nice.
square foot house. So,
Been there.
So then it should say, husband did not organize, and now I'm pissed. All right, aha moments. This is the most fun one. Anybody have any lessons?
time with your family matters more than you even know. Value your friends. Don't give your power away.
Happy wife, happy life.
I don't know about that. You have control of your own life, remember? But I guess
As I get older, I'm understanding wisdom.
wisdom. It's true. If only you knew then what you know now.
I found out I had skills in flipping and redecorating.
Oh, I was like, flipping, would you like to show us? That's awesome. So I suggest you guys start living by this and, look at it, right? If it affected you enough to be an aha moment, I'm sure you're living that right now, doing a little bit more in each of these categories, or at least noting when they happen. Wishes. What do we wish we had done? Relaxed? You went to Cali. 14 days. Can't put that one. Next. That's the best.
I wish I could meditate.
Why can't you?
I can't shut the brain down.
So, I learned something while doing the secret thing. I don't think it's about shutting your brain down. There are different forms of meditation, like visualization, which we're going to do before you leave today. So those that have a hard time meditating, think about doing it this way. Because you don't have to shut your brain down. You've just got to turn it into something that can help you, whether that's relaxing, or it's visualizing what you need to go do, or what your focus is. Okay, so we'll go over visualization, and that can be a form of meditation for you. And I know a lot of people here struggle with calming down and relaxing. I know we can at least lay down now. We've mastered that part. But actually, what the heck is going on in here, I know is not necessarily quiet time in your head, but it doesn't always have to be that. So from now on, we'll change our meditation to be, and I do ask questions and get you to come around and think and give the relaxation part to those who really need that. And I think if you get better at that, and then eventually make one of your focus points that you're thinking about changing your brain during that time is to give you time, you might automatically start eventually getting into more of your own space, you know. Okay, anything else? Wish. It's a good one. Two ears, one mouth. Oh, I thought you said listen. Anything else? That's pretty good. So that's a good list. That's something I know we just took a lot of time, but that's something that you can do every week. If nothing else, you can do it every quarter, 4 times a year. Put it in your phone as a reminder. It took me a lot of years to actually, I'm still growing into trying to be consistent about setting my goals. Every year I get a little bit better. So if this year you only come back to those when we meet again, at least you did them once. But let's see, maybe find the things that resonate the most with you today and put reminders on your phone to stop and do that stuff. All right? And put more than one reminder, because we can ignore the first one, and we can ignore the second one. But after a while, maybe something will light up in there. So thanks for sharing. And remember that our theme is, good job, vision equals dreams plus clear goals. So we're going to get into the goals. It isn't easy, but it's simple. It's one of the things I say about a lot of stuff lately. It's not easy, but it's simple. So it might not always be easy to think about what you want. It might not always be easy to take that time for you. But it is simple, meaning when you actually sit down and do it, you don't have to have any knowledge, you don't have to have any skills, you just have to figure you out and take some quiet time for you. So I just have some questions for you. What do you want in life? You got to start thinking about that. What do you live for? What do you want to live for? What do you want to be remembered for? Pretty morbid question in my goals. Thing I had to do this year was, well, I'll read it to you. It's called a last day statement. Tried to make it sound nice this year. Last year it was your death credo. Imagine it's the end of 2016 and you are on your deathbed. Imagine that you feel at peace with the world and you are ready to pass on. You are surrounded by your family and your friends. Your legacy is cemented. You feel as though you have accomplished or completed what you came here to do in this life. What do you consider to have been the most important accomplishments and contributions? What has your life been about? What have you left behind? How have you left the world a better place? It's pretty powerful stuff.
Can I share something?
Sure.
Can I play it? Because you got to hear it.
Go for it.
Emily brought this home to me yesterday. It was really cool to listen to. Hopefully you can all hear it. It's loading.
Well, while it's loading, you guys can think about that. I mean, that really gets you. I think for me, one of the hardest things I've been struggling with and still am struggling with right now is, what do I want to do? Like, where do I want to be? I mean, like, this world, like we said, the universe is yours. You can do anything. And when you stop and think about, okay, if I could just wake up in the morning and do what I wanted all day long, that's a really overwhelming question. You're so used to being a robot and doing whatever you told yourself you're going to be doing, your career is, or, whatever your life. it's almost like we can't get away from that. We can't build that. That's why you have such a hard time setting goals. You're afraid to step away from what you've been automatically doing every day. And it's just that automatic. And remember what I told you. You have an automatic brain mechanism. You can automatically go get what you want to get. It's just a matter of what are you going to get. So if every single day you're waking up and doing things and not one of those things is what you want, or you don't know what it is and you're just following it, that's why you have a hard time figuring out what it is you want. So I'm still trying to figure that out too. You know, you think about this whiteboard, this day, you could just build anything you want. It's an overwhelming question. So we're going to try to help you work through that today too. It's a big question. When you get it, let us know.
It's not playing the sound. Try your Bluetooth on. Yeah, is that right? It on. Is it on you?
So now we're going to go into what is a goal. And I just wanted to start with this. Some of you may know about it. We just went into a little bit of discussion about the auto mechanism. But we all have the auto mechanism, as you know now. But envision this. You can cage a humming pigeon, cover it, put it in a closed cab of a truck, drive it 1,000 miles away, take it out, let it go free, and after it circles just a few times, it will find exactly where it came from.
I get it.
You guys can do the same exact thing. You guys have that same auto mechanism. Not everything does. You guys do have that. So, you know, you smile about that. You know, you smile about the fact that you can cover something, drive it so far away, and it can find its way. You can do that as well. You can do that in your life, and you can do that with your goals. So just, you know, it's the law of attraction. Just because it's in your mind, it will happen. And you don't have to know how. If you just think about it and want it bad enough, you don't have to have an exact plan. Having a detailed schedule is great. But if you know you want something bad enough, you don't have to know how you're going to get it. You just have to be willing to accept that it will happen in some way, some form. So a goal is, these are the specifics, you guys, we always go over with goals. Tangible, right? You have to be able to get it. You have to be able to receive it. Otherwise, why even have the thing? It needs to be concrete, clear, written. Specific, that's another big one I should repeat a few times. Specific, you can't just say, I want to make money, or I want a new car. You have to be very specific about it, otherwise you can't see it. And then it needs to be measurable, right? So how do you know that you got that goal? The car's either parked in your driveway or it's not, right? Or you get weighed in here for your measurements if it's a weight thing. It's time bound. So if you just keep saying, oh, I want to make like if you figure out what your ultimate salary is, oh, I want to make $150,000, but you don't put a date on it, chances are you're probably never going to get there. Not even going to move past where you are right now. So it has to be a date to it. So we're going to make sure we have that today. It has to be challenging. In order to achieve something you've never achieved, you got to do something you've never done. That's the challenge in it, okay? So it's been kind of stated that you should have a 50% probability that you will get this goal. Number one is because it'll actually make you work for it. Number two, it has to be something that's worth it. And if it weren't, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, then you don't even need to set the goal for it. You're going to get it, right? So make it challenging. It has to be realistic and balanced with the values of life. So if you say, I really want my business to explode this year, and I really want to play golf, you can't do both. You know, you're not going to be on the golf course for 3-4 hours, or I don't even know how long it takes. You can't do that regularly and make something else explode. We can't give 100% of ourselves in more than one category. So your goal needs to be realistic with what your life is at right now and what you're willing to make your life become. If you need to change, you need to change more than just one thing. You can't set this goal and then envision it and not change throughout the year. Purposeful. It needs to, alone, without anything else happening, this one goal you set needs to improve your life so much that you don't need to achieve any other goals and you still feel successful. It needs to have purpose. It needs to have purpose. If you did nothing else this year, but you completed this goal, it's purposeful to you. It actually impacted the rest of your life in a positive way. That's what purposeful means. And at the end of 2016, this goal alone makes you feel successful. And I just want to, start thinking about what you want to feel like if you achieve a goal. What do you want to feel like if you are successful at the end of 2016? What does it feel like? What's your emotion? Where are you? How do you feel? You happy? Satisfied? Some words I used. And you can just jot that word down. Or that feeling. No. I don't know how you're going to feel. Accomplished is another good word. Okay. You must envision yourself having already achieved your goal, right? Envision. You should picture yourself already there. Not getting there, not walking toward it, already there. What do you look like? What does it feel like? Who are you with? What are you doing? All right, why people don't achieve their goals. You don't know how. That's the number one thing. You don't know how. I think, how many of you are here because you don't know how to set goals? Anybody? It's okay to admit it, okay? You don't know how. All right, so then ask me questions to make sure you understand how, because that's the number one reason why people do not achieve their goal, okay? Unimportant. It's unimportant. Just write it down because it seems awesome and it would be crazy if you accomplished it, but it's not important to you, so you're just going to forget about it after February 30th. Oh, 29th, 28th. Were you brought up doing this? The reasons why it might be unimportant. Were you brought up setting goals? I mean, how many in here from the time you were this little were taught to set goals? Anybody? I would love to see if somebody was. I don't think I knew what a goal was until someone told me that I need to start setting goals when I was well out of college. I mean, I don't even think I set a goal in college. So that's another reason why it's unimportant. It might not be your fault, so don't take offense to these things. Just accept them and try to understand them. Fear of failure. This is a big one. You're afraid. I wrote it down, or I said I'd do it, but I didn't. But you guys should remember that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So even if you set a goal and you don't accomplish it, at least you set that goal. You were a little bit closer. You're a little bit closer to making yourself better, 1% better. And I have to tell you, Nitin, I watched the video of our last goals seminar for the first time. I could not get myself, I put it on for like a minute and I just couldn't bear the vision of myself. I think I was the heaviest I was, the most unhappy I was, and I was so excited to be here. I really did. I have a passion for helping you guys, but I was not helping myself at all. And I just kept watching this thing. I'm like, okay. Then I put my phone around. I said, I'm just going to listen to it. So I had a Bluetooth speaker while I'm riding the bike, and I turned the thing so I can't even look at it. And then I keep listening. I'm like, it's not that bad. It's all right. I can get through this. And I turned it around. I'm like, just face it. This sucks. This really sucks. So I kept going through, and then finally, we have this flip chart, which I didn't use this year because it was nothing but a nuisance last year. And it said, what's your big 5 for 2015? 4 out of 5 I did not even think about in 2015. They were all just emotional goals that I set because I was so excited, and they were unrealistic. The way my life was, I wasn't going to do any of those things, but I didn't get that. I didn't understand that I wasn't in the, I thought if I set this goal, then my life will become like that. But you have to realize where your life is first, what's realistic to you, where you want to go, and if you're willing to make the changes that you need to get there. So just think about that. Don't be like me. And then fear of success. This is the most interesting one to me. You would never think that you'd be afraid of achieving the goal. I mean, I don't think it even rings in your head when you're setting a goal like, oh my God, I'm going to be afraid to do that, because you probably wouldn't set it if you were afraid of it, right? But it's true. So fear of being in control, literally, like all of a sudden you want that promotion at work, but if you do that, now you're in control. Now you don't get to take that easy Tuesday once a week. You've got to be on all the time. Or figuratively, you're in control of your destiny. You start to realize, oh shit, I just made that happen. Like, what else am I going to make happen, good or bad, big or little? You know, your life is going to change. That's a scary thing. Change is one of the scariest things for people. Maybe that's the reason why they don't set goals, is because change is so scary for everybody. So I think understanding those and accepting them will allow you to get over them. It's going to take time, but just be aware that those might be some reasons you don't write stuff down on this paper. And don't be afraid of it. Do it. Push yourself to do it, because remember, you are in control of your destiny. You're in control of whether that's a good thing or a bad thing that happened to you. How you perceive it is what you're going to see it as. And the last reason is because you don't see it. It's all about vision today. The last reason why people do not achieve their goals is because they don't see it. They didn't pay attention to it and literally envision it all year long. You can't achieve what you don't see, and you become what you do see. So remember, your mind is an automatic mechanism. Believe it or not, the universe is yours. What you put out there is what you're going to get. Your thoughts and actions become you, big or small, good or bad. You naturally surround yourself and search out what is on your mind. Your mind is your control center, and you do have control over anything and everything. So your brain is your control center for your actual physical actions, but it's also your control center for what happens to you. So you gotta start thinking like that and wrap your brain around it. Okay, we're gonna start with some activities now. So we're gonna start setting our goals, what you all came here for. We're gonna start with a 90-day wonder of your past. So you can take another piece of paper. And this is another activity that you could add. You could set in your phone as a reminder. It's another little small task you can do. It's a brainstorming thing that gets you to get your thoughts from here on paper and eventually visualize. So what you're going to do is take a few minutes, I'll time you, and you're just going to literally brainstorm, write what your failures and successes were the last 90 days. So that is December, November, October. I'm getting good going backwards. The next thing we're going to do is the 10 forms of wealth. I think everybody should have this sheet here. It's on your table. Ten different categories. Some of you may have done the 8 forms of wealth for me in the past. This is something you can do every month. So with it, there's another exercise called 3 and 30. Once you figure out all these categories where you stand, you set 3 goals for yourself in each category to complete by the end of the month. That we're not doing today because I'm not overwhelming you with 1,000,001 goals. I just want you to walk away with a few today. So, but we're going to reflect and try to look inside us and see where we stand. Spiritual and inner self. This, if you're religious, can be in this category. If you're not, it can be just taking you time to be quiet, meditate, or not. Figuring yourself out, taking some silent time to think about you, taking the time to do this, goal setting. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is non-existent. You didn't even know that there was a category like this in your life. 10 is you don't even have to think about it, you're just stellar at it, and you're never going to fail in that department. We are going to be somewhere in between those. So make sure you just draw a little circle and X however you want. Eventually we're going to connect the dots and see where your life is balanced. So on number 1, spiritual inner self, where do you feel you stand? But you should also think on the other spectrum of not only fitness and health, maybe sickness and disease. 1 is really bad, 10 is excellent. How do you feel? What do you think every day that you wake up? Are you focused? Do you know where you want to go? Are you positive? Are you grateful? Do you care about the things that you do? Obvious, but family doesn't have to be who you're related to by blood. This can be who matters to you the most, who you're closest to. How are your relationships there? Do they need some work? Do you need to add some people? Add some time with people? Do you have a job? And this can include having children. Do you like what you do? Financial, pretty obvious, just like physical. Are you happy with where you stand financially? Do you have goals? Do you want to make more money? Circle of genius. This is my favorite to talk about. This is what you'll do. Think right now of the 5 people you spend the most time with in your life. Probably someone you work with, maybe a family member, someone at the gym, if you guys are here a lot. But the top 5 people you spend most of your time with, who are they? And are those 5 people making you a better person? Are they making you a worse person? Are they depressing you? Are they frustrating you? Do you need to, maybe you need to cut ties? And that's a tough thing to come to terms with. But if you have goals you want to set and you want to be better this year, you've got to figure out, are they good for you? Or are they dragging you down? And are they pushing you to be a better person? You know, you got to have challenging people in your life too. If you're just completely comfortable all the time, you're not going to hit goals. If you're just going to be satisfied all the time, you're not going to hit goals. Out. So right now you might have a job that comfortably pays you, that allows you to take vacation time. You are married, you have a couple kids, you know, you got the life that you want, but that's going to run out at some point if you are just satisfied, because satisfied at some point is going to be not enough, and you're going to need something else to fill it. So just think about that. Where do you stand with your circle of genius? Do you do anything you enjoy doing, or you just fill your time with everybody else's schedule? Do you schedule time for fun, or do you just hope it happens? Or do you have too much fun? So I'm like creeping up the ladder and like, ooh. Love. Do you give enough love to people in your personal relationships, friendships, people you don't even know? I got to think about, this just came to my head, so I got to share this on Facebook a couple weeks ago. I saw this post about a new pastor of a parish. Does this ring a bell? Probably for you. Anybody else? Do you know the story? Anybody? So there's a pastor of a new church that's going to be, what's the word you use? Ordained, anointed. So the day that he's going to be given his piece and introduced to the parish, he decides he's going to sit out on the front steps of the church as a homeless person. Oh, all of a sudden you guys know. Okay, well, bear with me for those people who haven't heard it.
It's a video?
Yeah, yes. So he lays there with the sign that says, I'm homeless, a positive note, have a great morning, or whatever. I don't even think he was asking for money or anything. He was just had a nice little sign that said, good morning. And everyone passed by him. Everyone who belonged to that church passed by him and blew right in and just sat right in their seats. So then he sits in the church and he decides he's going to go to Mass that morning. They say, now it's time to give peace. Not one person would give this guy a handshake, a hug, or anything. Now think about that. Not one person in this church could even turn around to look at him. So he continues. And all the people who are going up there to anoint him went to go introduce him, and here comes the homeless guy walking up to the pulpit. Mortified. Everybody was inside. People walked out. They didn't know they couldn't believe that they had done this. And then his whole speech was to go on, like, just because it's not your life and you don't understand what everybody else is going through doesn't mean you have the power to judge what other people are doing. All I wanted to do was say, have a good morning. And because you judged me and thought I was going to ask you for money, or I wasn't worth it, or I'm not doing as good as you are in life, you couldn't even welcome me in here. And you guys call yourself Catholics. And this is what he says to everybody. So it was pretty moving. I just thought that it was about love, showing love to people you don't even know. You know, it doesn't have to be about your relationships, it doesn't have to be about the people you're closest with, it doesn't have to be the people you're supposed to have a relationship with. You know, how do you treat the people you don't even see? So that's good to think about. I think we could all use work on it. And impact or legacy. This goes along with kind of your death credo, or what do you want people to say about you at your going away party? You know, what impact are you leaving on people? Are you making an impact on anybody? Do you think you can do a little bit more? If your job doesn't force you to impact people, do you do it on your own? If your job forces you and that's just something you do every day, do you go above and beyond that? Like at the end of the road, would people say, they really impacted my life, they really affected me? Okay, now connect your dots and check out your web and see where your balance is. So your shortest lines, go right into those. That's where you lack vision. That's where you lack goals. That's where you lack focus. Chances are we avoid those or don't spend enough time on them. So my suggestion to you would be start setting some goals in those areas. Don't think about setting a goal in everything, because the first time you do this, if you spread yourself too thin, you'll give up. So if you really want to be successful with your 10 forms, there you go. And what you could do is compare your 90-day wonder, what we just did, the past, with those. Your highest ones, are those mentioned a lot in your 90-day wonder? Your lowest ones, are those non-existent on your list, or are they there in a negative form? Like I didn't visit with my family as much, or I didn't save any money, you know? So just, that's a good way to compare it. Any questions on that stuff? You guys find that useful? Your feedback is good. I don't want to waste your time here. Okay. Now what we're going to do, the last little writing brainstorm for a little bit, is your 90-day wonder for the next 90 days. So take out that paper again and write down your things you want to complete in 90 days. Just brainstorm. This is where you can get your thoughts out. Like, you don't have to be realistic here. You can just think, be creative. Usually what you do is spend 5 minutes, 5 to 15 minutes actually. I just didn't want to overwhelm you with that. On your past 90 days and your future 90 days. Really cool writing drill that you can do regularly. Set a reminder. Brainstorm it, get your thoughts out. 10 forms of wealth. You can do this every month and see where you're at, because chances are they're probably going to change. If you really choose to focus and set a goal on ones that you need to do, that'll probably change and your focus will shift. So this is how you can keep balance in your life. That's what this is for, to balance you out. All right? Set a goal. Moving on. First step, I think, is the most important step, which I'd love to get across to you, which I couldn't wait to say or yell at you, is you need to admit that you don't have what you want and you're not doing what you need to be doing in order to reach your goals. Does everybody agree with that? Can you say, I admit I am not where I need to be right now? Good job. That's the first step. Number one, you have... I'm not going to spell admission. For some reason, it doesn't look right to me. One T in admission? T-I-O-N? Doesn't look right to me. See? You guys, you're unbelievable. Now we got that on video. You're going to have to delete that. Okay. What's that rule, teachers? When do you take away the T and add S's? Good job. That's a good call. Okay. Okay. Good. Is there? It has to be. It's the English language. All right.
English language does not have rules.
They tried to teach me about the I-E. I got it. I know you can spell receive. It's C-E-I. I figured it out. After C, before. Okay. I was just going to make up a rule. Receive. Just know. It's S-E-I. That's the problem. That's the problem. All right, so admission. I just want you guys to write down one sentence about your admission for yourself. You know, like, I admit that I am not doing what I need to do. I'm not who I want to be. I want something more. I don't have what I want. What are you admitting to right now? How to set a goal. Number 1, admission. And I did write TION on my paper. We won't pass it in. Number 2, you need to figure out what you want. That, my friends, is the hardest ones for me. Anybody else? Figure out what you want. Is that the hardest one for you or no? Yeah. Share with me. Speak to me. No? You know. Look at you. Can I hire you to figure me out? All right. So think about these. What makes your soul sing? What makes you happy every day? What makes you excited to be alive? What bothers you about you, your society, your community? On your deathbed, what is your legacy you leave? One thing that you would do to make yourself say 2016 was a success. Those are some questions that can help you figure out what you want to accomplish. What makes your soul sing? Think about that for a second. You can make some notes. What makes your soul sing? What bothers you about you, your society, your community? On your deathbed, what is your legacy you want to leave? What do you want people to say about you? And what's one thing that you can say at the end of 2016 makes you feel successful? You have to have a why to make this thing important enough all year long, right? That's another huge thing that happens. People don't, was my problem in 2015. You don't want it bad enough to think about it all year long, right? Your why is not important enough. Your goal is not important enough. If your goal is important enough, why are you doing it? That's got to be there. So what will you feel like if you achieve your goal? Is this strong enough to keep your attention? To keep you committed to the entire year? What do you want to feel like? We talked about that. What do you want to feel like if you accomplish a goal at the end of the year? What feeling will keep you going consistently? And is it strong enough to keep you focused all year long? All right, so to recap, we have to admit that we want to change, we got to figure out what we want, and we got to have a why strong enough to keep us going. Pretty simple, right? So what you're going to do right now is, with all the brainstorming that we've done, from 90-Day Wonder to 10 Forms of Wealth, to questions you've answered with me, to massaging your next door neighbor, figure out your 2016 Big Five. 2016 Big Five. For life. These are the top things that if you accomplish by December 31st, 2016, you will feel successful. They should be balanced, right? That's why we did the 10 Forms of Wealth. But if you did these, they would help you improve everywhere in your life. Your Big Five sheet, you don't have to, you can use your Big Five sheet, that's completely fine with me. You don't have to, you can save it, it's up to you. But you know where I am, so you can always get more. There you go. The back sides of your notebook. Our theme? Okay. Can you visualize these? Can you envision yourself doing these, completing these? So as you write it down, if you need to, you can close your eyes. Just take a second to focus on what that looks like, having already achieved it. What do you look like? What do you feel like? Where are you? Who are you with? When do you do it? Once you've got them, you should write a date next to them when you want to accomplish them. Another interesting thing that I've done over the years is, well, you can tweak it, but usually you just set it concrete, is you make a big 5 for life. What big 5 things do you want to accomplish in your life? Big 5, written and dated. Good. Now we're going to move on to the big, hairy, audacious goal, 2016. What one thing, if you achieved it, would you feel successful at the end of 2016? Remember, it should have purpose, so it should impact the rest of your life in a positive way. It should be important so that we have drive all year long to do it. It should be specific. Don't keep it vague. Get as specific as you possibly can with it. It should be written down. And once you've got it, I want you to sign your initials or your name to it and today's date on there. You can also put the date that you will achieve it by. One goal. And last year, when I was watching the video, I said, okay guys, and I said, it took me 2 months to figure out what I wanted to do. I was like, does everybody have their goal? And Frank, you're like, it took you 2 months. How are we supposed to have it? So if you don't get it today, don't rush. Like, don't be like me and just set things and be excited and set them, and then set yourself up for failure. If you need time to think about it, go ahead, but let's take the time you're putting in today and the learning you're doing to be serious about it, and make sure that you do set that.
What if there's 2 things you really want to accomplish? One, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at.
Are they related?
No.
Will one affect the other?
Possibly, it could. One is more meaningful and purposeful, and possibly not as probable.
It's as probable as you make it.
No.
So if it's purposeful,
It's less me.
me, you now.
I know, like I have less
Control, okay.
over it.
Yep,
It's more personal, so I
Yep.
have less control over it because it involves other people.
yep. If it's realistic for you to actually hit both of them, if you can honestly say, I could put just as much effort into making one happen in my life this year. If you were to say, if I worked on both of these and really tried to think about them every single day, could I do that? And if you couldn't work on both, pick the one that you need to happen. I know it's hard. It's very hard to zone in. If tomorrow was your last day and you were going to die trying, which one would you need to go down with a fight for? And if it's both, then you've got to, then they've got to be related somehow. Okay. Now that you've got your goals, bear with me. There's still more to it. You can't just set a goal and be done. You have to understand what to do with it. So we're going to go over that now. I chose to do that after setting the goals because I knew some people needed to leave, but the rest of you that are here, you're going to get a lot more out of this right now, and I guarantee you have a better success rate of hitting your goals. So just try to keep your attention here. What do you need to achieve your goals? Anybody have any ideas what you need in order to achieve your goals? Come on. Vision! We should give him the free t-shirt for that. Reinforcement. Yes. Okay, so we're going to start listing them. First one I have is mindset. If your mind is not with it, forget it. Mindset and laser focus. Your why should give you this all year long. Mindset and focus should be there if your why is big enough. You should be constantly working on your goals in 2016. Remember, you can do your 90-day wonders, your W-lags. Remember those in the very beginning? And keep looking at it. Belief is number 2. Look at that, L-I, did it. You have to have such a powerful belief in your accomplishments that nothing can stand in your way. Not even failure. You have to have 100% confidence, right? 100% confidence. You have to believe that that is going to happen. It has to be written down. And kept in front of you. That's the visual part. Look at it daily. Take time to envision it. So you got a couple things. Look at it daily, okay? I advise that you can go home, make this pretty. You can laminate it. You can do whatever you want. But whatever you bring with you every day, if you have a purse, if you're just a pocket person, then laminate it. If you have a wallet, keep it with you every day. Or at least post it somewhere that you will see it every day. You know, right next to your door on your way out. I hesitate to do that because I don't know who's going to walk through my house. Maybe it's a personal goal. You should admit this goal to at least one person. I do believe that announcing it and telling someone you're going to do it sets it in stone. Make it somebody that you would talk to regularly that would actually ask you if you completed it. You know, don't take the easy way out picking someone that you can get away with at the end of the year and just never bring it up. Try to pick someone that you know, and maybe it's someone here. But sharing it makes it concrete. And concrete's one of those words. So I don't necessarily believe that you need to share it with the world in order for it to come true. I mean, it does put you a little more pressure on you. I'm not sure it's good pressure. But it could be very personal. And not that you don't want to achieve it, even if it is really personal, but just might be a little bit more private about it.
Are there pros and cons with doing it with a significant other?
Well, I actually last year set people up so that they weren't sitting next to that person for two reasons. One, a lot of times you end up setting goals with that person and they become like a combined goal. And if you separate, you can focus and not feel that you're being judged. So, you mean tell them, like share it with them? Or make goals together?
No, I think they could be separate and cons.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
agree, but
Pros and cons?
Yeah.
I think the pros are definitely that you have a better chance of completing them, right? I mean, you definitely have someone else doing it with you and who's focused. Maybe they can remind you when you're not focused, or it could go the complete opposite way. And both of you like to avoid things. Then it's like you better get a third party involved, right? So I guess it's both. The cons would be like if you both are, you know, I mean, usually a lot of good matches just like to have a ton of fun. Maybe both of you would just keep going further away from the goal instead of toward it. Depends on the goals, I bet. You have to have a deadline. Deadline needs to have a date written down, right? Everybody has that on their paper? Another spelling. There. Maybe I shouldn't keep it private. 31st. Yeah. And so what if it's the 3rd of December?
You're going to celebrate time, you know?
You're going to remember the 3rd, aren't you? You're going to check up on me. That's why you're making sure. All right. Then we have determine your baseline. So you have to know where you stand right now. I have to know that I have 60 clients right now, and I need 40, and none of you are allowed to leave, because then that really throws off my goal. So you need to know, if you have a weight loss goal, you need to know where you stand today. If you have a money goal, you need to know where you stand as far as how much money you have now. And if you have, all these, you need to know your baselines. Does anybody have questions about baselines? Do you have an obscure, weird goal that you really need some help with direction and how you would measure yourself, or is everyone okay with that? Good? Okay. You need to plan. So you need to have some sort of plan as to when you're going to go. You need to identify your obstacles. This is one of them that I wanted to kind of take a little bit of time on. What could deter you from hitting this goal? What can get in your way? What will you do or need to do? Do you need new skills? Do you have good habits that you need to add to your life? Do you have bad habits you need to rid from your life? Just think about what could stand in your way and just maybe jot down a couple things so that you're prepared for it. You got to surround yourself with like-minded people. Who can you add or subtract? This is part of that circle of genius. Who's going to push you outside that comfort zone to be better? Who's going to bring you down and stop you from hitting your goals? So there's your answer, really. You know, if they're in your circle of genius making you better, then yes, have at it. If they're in your circle of genius making you not so good, then you got to get rid of that if you want to hit that goal. And number 10, never, never, never give up. Glad we're on the same page. Any questions on all those? So what's the number one thing you think you need in order to achieve your goal? It's the theme today. Thank you. I don't care how. I like it. You have to be persistent about vision. That's all. Just constantly look. Okay. Here's some ideas that I wanted to leave you with today. There's a few of them. Take what you want from it, write them down, ask questions. Number 1, gratitude journal. You can write in the AM, the PM, one time a day, your thanks and your accomplishments. This can also be your W lags, right? So if you want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, start a journal, put it somewhere that will remind you, and try to take that time around the same time every day until you make a habit of it. Once you make a habit of it, you don't have to worry about that time. But you've got to segregate that moment, and nothing else is more important than that moment. Because I think what I learned my aha moment, by the way, for 2015, besides relationships, was, now I'm going to draw a blank. Great.
We were on journaling.
Yes, I get overwhelmed and very anxious. Every day, there's just this overwhelming, anxious thing, and I can't get over it, to the point where I was paralyzed. I'm not doing anything today because I don't know what the hell to do because I have so much to do. Doesn't make sense. But when you're in that, I'm sure you guys can relate, you get to that point where you're like, just forget it. I'm just going to take a free day because what else am I going to do? I deserve it. I can't think anymore. And I started to do these 90-day wonders. I started to do the W lags once in a while, not very consistently, but when I did them, I'd feel better. So then halfway through the year, I started to complain a little bit less about this anxiety and this overwhelming feeling. And what I noticed is that when you write down your accomplishments, what you didn't accomplish no longer matters. If you at the end of the day had a really stressful day and just wrote down, and I do this when I'm really stressed out by the afternoon before I come back here, okay, I can't take it out on them, although I'd love to, but I won't enjoy it, so I have to figure out what am I going to do. Although I think way back in the day I used to bring that into the gym, and that probably was a better sight.
I heard about that.
Oh, no, you have no idea.
You yell because I yell because I
I
care.
had no idea.
He was yelling, it was awesome. It was actually really good. Either you liked it or you really didn't. We liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I got soft over the years, so I'm bringing some of it back, but it's not because I don't write things down. I write my accomplishments down because I feel like, oh my God, where the hell did the day go? What am I going to do? I mean, there's not enough time in the day, and then tomorrow I already have it planned, and before I know it, I'm gone on Saturday. There's no way I'm going to ever catch up. So I just write down everything I accomplish, or I like to take a nice hot shower in the middle of the afternoon and just think about what I accomplished that day. And that will calm you down, because I guarantee you there's going to be double digits of things that you did that day if you really thought about the smallest things to the largest things. And then all of a sudden the things you didn't accomplish aren't so big anymore. And you can feel good about yourself. And that's the whole point. So number 2 would be writing a big 5 every week. I gave you that sheet. I'm glad that you wrote your big 5s, because you can do something fancy with this. I do have extra copies if anybody needs some. You can always get them from me. Big 5 if you're in the challenge, you've been doing this, but this is your big 5 for the week. What do you have to accomplish? What 5 things can you accomplish this week to feel successful, so that when you are overwhelmed and you do feel paralyzed, just go to this, right? So if I walk through my door after I'm here in the morning and I'm like, I have 20,000 things to do, I literally go to that every single day, and I'm like, okay, just work on one of those for right now, and you automatically feel better because you set the tone at the beginning of the week, and you said, I'm going to feel good if I finish those 5 things. They can be personal life related, relationship related, they can be work related, they do not have to be fitness and nutrition, they don't have to be part of your big goals. But if you're trying to get in a habit, right now I suggest you start just nail number 1 as taking time to do one of these habits. And once it becomes a habit, you can take it off your big 5. I always leave it there. I have to give myself permission to do things that are for me, right? if I don't write it down, I'm not going to do it. So grocery shopping, put it on there. Then you give yourself permission because it's on your big 5 and you're going to feel good, you know? Take that relaxing 15 minutes. Meditate. A lot of people in the 8-week challenge this past week had meditation for 15 minutes on there. Write it on there. Give yourself permission to do it. Yes?
An Excel sheet works pretty good because you can see week to week what your accomplishments were, what you weren't.
That's a good idea.
It's all right there in a cute little picture.
That's cool. Do you make a graph too? That would be cool.
No, I don't know. Just seeing what
I would see. That's what I would start playing with it, and then I would like.
Well, yeah, you're distracted.
All right. Keep your BHAG visible every day. If I were you, I would do that. That's probably one of the most important things you can do, right? Keep it visible. Put it somewhere or keep it on you. Number 4, this was my aha for last year. It was also my word for last year, and I just wish I could keep it every year, but give to get. If you want to receive something this year, start giving it. That is the simplest way that you can accomplish your goal that you want this year. Find a way to give what you want to get. And if it's monetary, good. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot. Maybe it's, you know, at church on Sundays you're giving a little bit. Or, you know, the rice things they hand out from the church, and you just put some in there. Or you give to a charity. Sign up for a race. And if it gives money to something, you're giving. Okay? Anything that you can do to give what you want to get, that will be the easiest way for you to accomplish what you want. And what is it called? It's called a rice bowl, isn't it?
Okay, is that what you...
What is she talking, what's a rice bowl in church?
That's what it's called, right? They give them out once a year. And
Basket. I don't know.
no, like you get, does anybody else know when you go to church once a year they give you these rice bowls and you're supposed to put them on your table at your house, and everybody that comes in just puts like random change. You go back and you feed the hungry.
Been in a while.
It's called a scam. Jeez. I wonder why I don't go there anymore. That's what it is. What did I call it?
Rice.
Okay. The scam bowl. Yeah. You write whatever you want in that cup. I guarantee you're going to get some change by the time it comes back around. Maybe just because they don't want to carry it anymore. But you win either way. 5, believe. You have to believe and find belief in whatever it is you want. If you don't believe in it, forget it. So honestly, look at yourself right now. Do you believe that you will make the changes? Not that do you believe you'll hit the goal. Do you believe you're going to make the changes that need to be made? Because we all admitted, as the first thing that we were here, we are not happy with where we are and something needs to change. So are you believing in making those changes? Find a different goal. It's okay to tweak things. It's okay to change things. Watch The Secret. That would be one of the best things you could do. Watch or read The Secret. Don't judge it. Make a vision board.
I just said it.
You did? Wrote that down? It's a goal. It's a goal.
I said we should have a vision board party.
You can send those vibes out.
So, but I have to say to you, before watching The Secret, I was like, vision boards. Oh my God, I see those everywhere. You know, I'm like, this is just, you know what this is? An activity to keep people going, and say that they ran a 3-hour goal seminar. So we're, you know what, now we're all going to take out our cardboard things, our magazines, and we're going to find our pictures and post them. But it's this, so you just get a board any size you want, and you start cutting out pictures or drawing pictures, and you post them on the board of your goals that you want to hit, and you're supposed to look at it every day. So before I watched this movie and I realized how important vision was and that you actually have control of your destiny, I just thought it was, you know, I didn't believe that you had control of your goals, I don't think, until this year, clearly, because last year I didn't hit any of them. But if you see it, you're going to become it. That's the whole thing. If you can envision it and you can see it, you will become it. So you guys, that might be something interesting to do. I know it takes a little bit of time, but it might be worth it. And put it somewhere where you can see it all the time. Does anybody have any questions and answers? Is there anything I can help you with?